All right, shout out to the mighty Who Dat Nation, man. Welcome, welcome, welcome. And now rocking with the Sports Coma with Big Q and the guys, where we have intense, entertaining, educating, and enlightening sport talk from your favorite sports fam. Shout out to you guys. Please feel free to hit upon that like button, get the likes up. We up in this thing. We're going to be talking some stuff right quick at the family members on this stream, man, and just to hit on a couple articles. Shout out to the Saints Wire, man. Some articles to kind of go over with you guys. We'll start with just this one. Where did Tyler Shough place in the final NFL quarterback rankings? And this is where, and this is will be a telling story because this ultimately could decide on his rookie of the year honor, which is a thing that we are, of course, wanting to see him have. Now, ESPN did pick 4 Saints draft picks for the 2025 NFL All-Rookie Team. We'll talk about them momentarily. But in terms of the quarterback, New Orleans Saints supporters were impressed by Tyler Shough. But did the quarterback gain the respect of some of these experts, so-called air quotes, experts, about his rookie performance? How did they see it? After checking in with the QB rankings from 6 different operations, they said that Shough was ranked 20.5 or 20.5 among the NFL's 32 starters. First round picks Jackson Dart and Cam Ward were behind him at 23.3 and 28.5 respectively. With second half, Cleveland Browns starter Shador had a 33.0. Now Shough was ranked as high as 13 by some analysts, but no lower than the 24th standing. So that's some respect, right? So that includes Pro Football Focus, who ranked them 17th with 73.1 PFF passing grade, putting Shough well ahead of rookies like Jackson Dart, who was 64.8, Cam 56.4, Dylan Gabriel's 49.6, Shador was 42.3. And here's more of a breakdown going down on the site. So here we go. For the win, had him at 23rd. Fourth quarter overcome composited in the back half of the season. You can see the rating, which is 12th in the NFL. His ability to adjust as the game wears on him makes him more dangerous than the raw numbers suggest. Kellen Moore has turned him into a viable runner after rushing for only 19 net yards in his 7th college season with Louisville, which is neat. Okay, so that's one. You can see Jackson Dart, 16th, Cam's 34th, Shador's 36th. The Ringer has him at 24th. Final 6 weeks of the season totally reshaped what I thought about the Saints roster. Tyler Shough isn't a world-changing talent, but he does enough for this offense that New Orleans clearly has something to build around. Now, Brandon Staley is one of the league's best defensive play callers this season, too. Now, it's worth wondering whether this team can get near or above 500 next year, even though it has more than $60 million in dead cap charges. This is true, but only about 15 million in the red for the season, which we should be all right because we always all right because the cap doesn't matter according to Mickey Loomis. Not words, but action. Jackson Dart 26, Cam's 30th, Shador's 33. Now the Bleacher Report has him ranked 13th, giving him a grade B. The Saints exceeded expectations in every single way during this campaign, with rookie quarterback Tyler Shough being the primary reason why. The Saints were consensus favorites to the NFL's worst team this past season. Instead, the squad improved to 6-11 after finishing 5-12 a year earlier. The movement may not seem like much, but New Orleans' roster looked terrible on paper. Either the team was old or unproven through the majority of its lineups. Kellen Moore's squad won 4 straight games before dropping its Week 18 contest against the Falcons. Now, during the winning streak, Shough completed over 71% of his passes for over 1,000 yards and 4-to-1 interception ratio. Shough has the requisite size, arm talent, and athleticism to be a long-term starting quarterback. The 26-year-old rookie needed to prove he could stay healthy and handle an NFL offense. He did both, and according to PFF, he graded as the league's best first-year signal caller as well. Obviously, New Orleans has done a little better, with Shough leading them to greater heights. However, the Saints front office can build around the team's new QB1 and continue the trend upwards, right? You can see the ranking. They have Dart 17th, Cam's 18th, and Shador's 26th. NFL.com has him as 22nd. Shough is likely the future. Sure, he has plenty of things to work on, but as I believe would prove true with more reps as a rookie, Shough grew over the final month of the season and a composed, confident leader with a quality arm, sneaky good scrambling skills, and a clutch D that I thought was going to lead the Saints to yet another thrilling victory in Week 18. That is until he was baited into an ugly interception late in the fourth quarter. That's a rookie mistake, and Shough will learn from Kellen Moore. Meanwhile, has to be thrilled with the Saints and what they have found in Tyler Shough. Jackson Dart's 23rd, Cam's 25th, Shador is 31st. Now, Fox Sports says, watch out for the Saints to build their team in the image of the Broncos. Whether by coincidence or purpose, Shough is beginning to remind me of Bo Nix. They're good throwers, good runners, and on the older side for a quarterback on a rookie deal. Shough's progress was evident over the final 4 weeks of the regular season, and under Kellen Moore, this offense can take major strides forward next year with Shough as its distributor. Dart's 25th, Cam's 23rd, and Shador is 27th. So as you can see, a lot of good accolades being handed out about Tyler Shough, and rightfully so. It's been a while since we've had something to be positive about in terms of the quarterback position, and a successful winning way to say that, to kind of say that is very positive. So what we have to do now is obviously we got to build around the young signal caller, and that's just the bottom way how we're going to look at this thing and how we're going to do it. We got to build around the quarterback. So the Saints will have to be about the business of drafting correctly. That means getting up and making sure we get the offense, the interior offensive line settled. I'm not good with Cesar Ruiz. I don't think the Saints are going to do anything with him. McCoy will be 100% to go for the start of the season, but he has not played enough over the last 4 years, missing over 20-something games in the last 4 years is too much football for us to miss for a starting center who can't. You got to be able to rely on the guy. Either re-sign Luke Fortner or look into free agency and sign somebody else or draft somebody for the future. The left guard spot has a hole in it, whether you fill it by free agency or the draft. That has to be factored in. Also, the wide receivers. So many wide receivers the Saints have on this team. I think it's about 11 guys. And they signed a big wide receiver from coming over from Canada. They call him Moose. Shout out to KT. Man, listen, all I can say is a lot of competition in the running back room. Olavi's deal not done quite yet. He'll be playing on the $15 million final year unless the Saints do something about that in restructuring or not restructure, about re-signing him to a longer-term deal based on the numbers that he had. He was phenomenal this year, and the Saints need to compensate him accordingly. These other wide receivers, Devon Valley, it figured to be a larger factor in the passing attack, as well as Jalen Polk, who came over in trade from the Patriots. There's also Trey Palmer, who the Saints brought in as a speed demon as well. So the Saints will have a bunch of wide receivers. Now, they can also hit the draft and get another one and make it more of the merrier. So they have a lot of spots to kind of add to. But the more important one is you found a quarterback to build around. And the team has found its philosophy offensively and defensive-wise. I think if any changeover or turnover rather needs to happen, it should happen in the special teams area. Wasn't impressed with Galliano as the special teams coordinator. And if Kellen Moore wants to make a change there, he can ultimately bring in his own guy to kind of head the special teams, because we can do a lot better. Remember, we had that block punt that they allowed with Atlanta to allow there as well. So, I mean, there's some other stuff going on there in the special teams room that I wasn't really impressed with all this year, and it should be addressed in this offseason. So, anyway, that's a few of the things to kind of talk about. Y'all hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, and share your thoughts in the comments section below. and let me know how y'all feel about this particular topic about the Saints. Let me know. All right. Anyway, let's keep it going. Let's press on to the next article to kind of discuss right here. Shout out to Kat Terrell, who wrote this article. The Saints' biggest offseason needs: pass catchers wanted. So the Saints finished the 6-11 this season. They're optimistic about this upcoming season, in part because they solved the rookie riddle, which is Tyler Shough, getting the right guy, right? And this is what a quote that Mickey Loomis says, that I would be in a coma if I didn't realize that there's optimism and that that's exciting, says General Manager Mickey Loomis. Yeah, Mickey Loomis, you were in a coma until the Sports Coma got yourself together. So with the QB position settled for now, the Saints will need to figure out how to surround Shough with more offensive pieces in 2026. Now, Shough did lead the team to a 4-game winning streak toward the end of the season, despite playing with mostly backups at the wide receiver and running back position. The lack of pass catchers available will be one of the top things the Saints address this offseason. The process will get kick-started Senior Bowl in late January. The Saints drafted 4 players who participated in the Senior Bowl in 2025, including Tyler Shough. They're also likely to search for additions in free agency when the Saints' new league year begins in March, and in April's draft where New Orleans holds the number 8 pick. So this is what she believes needs to happen. On offense, the Saints have already expressed interest in extending wide receiver Chris Olave, who will lead into this 2026 season in the final year of his rookie contract. Olave, who turns 25, had a career-high 100 catches, over 1,100 yards, and 9 touchdowns. It's a steep statistical drop from Olave to the next receiver on the roster. Devon Valley ranked 4th on the team and 2nd among active Saints receivers with 293 receiving yards, which was really the Saints' fault. They should have gotten rid of Brandon Cooks. He didn't fit in what they had to do. They didn't use him as a speed weapon. He really couldn't block, so he was a mismatch fit for what the Saints had going on, and we were questioning that when they signed the guy. Okay, so you bring Devon Valley in, you offer picks to get Valley, you have to move him ahead, and they didn't do any of that until they got rid of Cooks way later in the year. Like I said, they had success later on in the year, but it took too long to get there. They took too many. Like, we got the success, but we could have had the success. Some of these decisions weren't made fast enough. Like, you got to recognize a bad move and fix it. They did not do that. They didn't do it. It took them games and weeks to recoup from bad decision making. We got to do it faster if we're going to have success in the NFL. So he ranked 4th on the team with just under 300 yards. He came on strong at the end of the season after the departures of Rashid Shaheed because the Saints wasn't going to pay him. Brandon Cooks because he didn't fit in what the Saints was doing. But he ended the season on injury reserve. The Saints also acquired former Patriots 2nd-round pick Jalen Polk in a trade, but he did not play because of injury. That was a futuristic move. The Saints sent the 6th-round pick to New England for a 2nd-round talent. And like I said, Jalen Polk is a good wide receiver. He's not a burner or a blazer, but he's a solid route runner, can catch the ball, make difficult catches, and he's faster than what he actually is, what he looks like on film, rather. So them seeing that and making that trade, say, yeah, this is for the future, and having Valley and Jalen Polk, that right there with Chris Olave is your top 3 wide receivers going into the 2020 season, barring draft picks, picking somebody with this. So the Saints kind of building up that going forward. Now, running backs will be another scrutinized position. Alvin Kamara, who's 30, has missed the end of the past 2 years because of injury and is due to make $11.5 million in base salary. They'll restructure that. I love Alvin, Saints coach Kellen Moore said. What Alvin means to this organization has been awesome. And obviously, these seasons all take different paths and have to navigate an injury. So the most important thing for him is just to get healthy and back to himself. Now, AK-41 is under, I think this is Alvin's final year under his contract, just to be honest with you. I think this is Kamara's final year. with the Saints 2026. I'm gonna have to. I think I covered this. Covered this on the another stream. And the thing about it is, pardon me, man, family. I'm just trying to get it all labeled up. But yeah, I covered this before. Well, we talked about Alvin Kamara and what his contract would look like for the Saints in the upcoming season. And the reality is, yeah, Alvin Kamara, and I'm kind of taking my time right here. I'm trying to dig up his contract so I can show you guys what I mean while I'm kind of covering this stuff. Here it is right here. This is the receipts right here. You can see Alvin Kamara, 30 years old, and you can see his contract right here, 24, 25, and this year's 26. This is his last year. Then 27, 28, he got voided years up until 2030, according to what the contract is showing us. Now, 11.5 this year. Now, there could be a reworking going on, but Alvin Kamara is in the final year of his deal. He hadn't, and like he said, he's 30 years old. Is old for an NFL running back. And plus, he's been hurt. Like prior to that, him getting hurt and getting hurt toward the back end of your contract when you're getting up in age doesn't look well. Although he's the best running back the Saints have ever had, he owned all kind of records, but that doesn't do us no good any right now. So getting Alvin Kamara 100% healthy for this season, which he will be, when the games count for real, Alvin will be there in his final season. But behind Alvin Kamara, it's Kendre Miller. Kendre Miller is the other guy that we have here. And Kendre Miller, who tore his ACL this season, his potential is still somewhat of an unknown due to injuries in his 3 seasons. The rookie 6th-round pick, Devin Neal, showed promise after 2 players were injured, but wouldn't be a surprise if the Saints look at their options at this 1st-round position in the draft. A lot of people are estimating that the best running back in the draft, will be available to them at the 8th spot. And they're not lying. They're not lying. A lot of those, they're not lying. I think he will be there. And he is a fantastic running back and a game changer. Now, if you really want to do something for your team, getting a running back that high would be special because some of these guys, like I said, I'm gonna be doing a lot of the content, but they always have several talented players available, right, at those positions. And at the running back position, you can't go wrong with a Justice Haynes. Now, Haynes will be available to you later on in the draft, but it depends on, how your board is built, right? Haynes is not Jeremiah Love. He's not a running back that had over 1,300 yards rushing. He's not a running back that averaged a 6.9 yards a carry. He's not a running back in 12 games that had 18 rushing touchdowns for the Notre Dame Fighting Irish. He's not none of that. This guy is clearly the best running back in the draft, although I like several backs in this draft later on, like Ketron Allen from Penn State. I like him a lot. Even the backup to Jeremiah Love from Notre Dame, Jadarian Price, he had 11 rushing touchdowns this campaign. So, I mean, there are a lot of talented running backs that are going to be available in the draft. But if the Saints do not trade out of the position, they're going to be looking at fulfilling some of this. Now, is it a wide receiver? Could it be a wide out? Could it be an offensive lineman? Could it be somebody like that? We'll see. We'll see how their board is built. But you cannot ignore the fact that if you look at the Saints running back room, Alvin is in the final year of his deal. Kendre Miller is a guy that cannot stay healthy, and Kendre Miller is also in the final year of his rookie contract. So it's like, the Saints don't have the stability that they used to have at the position because Kendre Miller is still unproven. Even though he played better than he's ever had this past season, but he still didn't contribute in the way that you want him to be. He wasn't there. He played 8 games in 23, 6 and 24, and 7 and 25, right? So it's just not what it's hitting for. Now, he had more rushing yards than he ever had, which is 193 yards and average 4 yards a run and had 1 touchdown, but none of that is galvanizing to the point where, hey man, Kendre Miller will be the future of the team. No, Kendre Miller, only thing he's shown us in the 3 years that he's been here is that he cannot be relied on. Now, no disrespect to Kendre Miller, but it simply is what it is. And of course, Devin Neal, who's a running back the Saints picked up in the 6th round, he's a future prospect. But if the Saints really want to kind of build this offense up, the first picks in terms of, it's all about Tyler Shough, because I'm gonna say this: the defense. I believe the defense is, and the defense has shown that to us all season long, that the defense has been ahead of the offense. The defense was playing better than the offense for much of the year, right? They started building their chemistry in preseason, in training camp. Then when the season started, you seen the defense already started to build up. Now, they just had a lot of veteran mistakes, like they were missing tackles and all this kind of stuff. They weren't fundamental, but overall, the defense was further along than the offense. And then the offense kind of got going late once it found its leader. So, given Shough, if you found Shough as your guy, and obviously I still think the Saints are going to rock with McCoy and Cesar Ruiz inside. You can sign somebody in free agency or, to be the left guard there. Me personally, I would get rid of Cesar Ruiz, and McCoy would be there. I would fortify McCoy with either a draft pick or a re-signing of Luke Fortner should be done, because you can't count on McCoy to stay healthy for a full season. And then we'll go from there. I get a right guard, left guard. But instead of trying to appease both, I think we'll just kind of forget that Ruiz is garbage, and then they'll just sign the left guard at the position, and hopefully they'll have somebody that will pose as competition for Cesar Ruiz at that right guard to really push him, to get better. Maybe we can get, one of our other young offensive linemen to start really getting on him and getting to a point where he's really challenging them for that right guard position, because we could definitely use some help there. But given whether you're giving Shough a running back, because like I said, Kendre Miller and Alvin Kamara are both on one year deals. They got 1 year left. Kendre has 1 year left on his rookie deal. Kamara has 1 year left on his veteran deal. So at some point, you're going to need to address the running back position. And to me, you get a running back, man, listen, man, all I can say is, man, you wouldn't be doing no wrong. And I wouldn't be mad at you at all if the Saints drafted Jeremiah Love from Notre Dame. I would not be mad at you at all to get a running back, a high-value, all-purpose running back like Jeremiah Love, and pair him with Tyler Shough. Get a veteran in free agency for the left guard position. Young players that could push McCoy. Sign Luke Fortner back. And just, and Matavo is really kind of looking good. I'm pretty sure they'll find a veteran tight end or something like that to kind of fortify Jawan. But Matavo looked good too. So in the wide receiver, like I said, the wide receivers, I don't know about them taking a wide receiver. They have so many wide receivers that they really like. That is a position, unlike any position going into offseason, where you look at it and say, hey, man, we need this, that, and the third. They have 11 wide receivers under contract. That's not a position where you'd be like, oh, well, let's add, another wide out to it. And like I said, Jeremiah Love would be a good pick to me. I wouldn't be mad if they went with Carnell Tate or Jordan Tyson. Wouldn't be mad at that. But if it's offensive driven, where you're giving Shough some more weapons, that needs to be the focal point. That needs to be the fulcrum going forward. So we'll see how it all shake. And it depends upon the big board. And I'm going to do a big board coming up real soon, family. I'm going to do a big board, Big Q's big board of my top 50 players in this upcoming draft, man. We're going to do that, and that'll be available to our Patreon and YouTube membership champions. We're going to do a big board, man. I'm going to break it down and why they're there, man. It's going to be fun. All right, another position that probably will be considered for an upgrade is the interior offensive line. Going back to Cat's article, the Saints invested first-round picks at the tackle the past 2 years, but haven't had much success inside. This is true. Loomis said they've struggled to keep their interior healthy. Saints center McCoy, who has had injuries, has played only 14 games the past 2 years. And they've moved Luke Fortner, who was acquired in a preseason trade, acquired from the Jaguars, to a starting role. Now, Eric McCoy is a really good player, according to Mickey Loomis. He's been injured the past few years. It's been more than a few years. He's been hurt for the last 4 or 5 years. So we have to examine that. That's right, you have to. You can't make a plan if the guy is not there. If the guy's showing you, if he missed a few games in this year or a couple of this year, that's one thing. But when this guy gets hurt, he misses half the damn season. And that's a problem. Missing a couple of games here or there, a couple of games here or there. But when guys start missing half the season, man, come on, man. And repetition, the last 4 or 5 years, just injuries all over the place, 20-something odd games missed in 4 years. That's too much. That's too much. I can't build nothing solid with players who can't stay healthy. You got to deal with it as what it is. I like Eric McCoy, but availability is a problem with Eric McCoy. The free agent signee Dylan Redundt started at left guard after a failed move inside for former tackle Trevor Penning, who was traded midseason. Loomis also said they'd like to see more out of left guard Cesar Ruiz. And he finally admitting that. They finally admit, because it's become to the point where we forced the narrative out there. People have been saying this is hard for them. They've been saying these guys are really good and all this kind of stuff. Cesar Ruiz is not a starting NFL guard. He's not. He's too inconsistent. His leverage is off. His footwork is bad and inconsistent most of the time. He's leaning when he doesn't need to lean. You see what I'm saying? His technique is incredibly inconsistent and should not be relied upon. Like, he gets beat consistently on tape. Consistently gets beat in one-on-one matchups. When he's pulling, sometimes he forgets who he's pulling to. Or sometimes when he needs to shed, he stays too attached to the guy as opposed to going to the next level to block out the linebacker or whoever you need to do. That's what I'm saying. So Cesar Ruiz, to me, is not a starting level offensive lineman. The guy's more like a backup. Because like I said, when you have that many starting games, this guy was a first-round draft pick center that they converted several years ago to a guard, and he's been wishy-washy. Some plays are good. A lot of plays are bad. He flashes up on tape. He gets beat consistently several times a game. The dominant games are far and few in between, and it's too many reps and too many games that Ruiz has started where he should be the best offensive lineman on this team. The reason why he's not is because he's not, I ain't gonna say he's not serious, but he's not practicing in a way where he's getting better. He's not getting any stronger. His footwork is not getting any better. He leans too much, and it's just a lot of crap that's wrong with what's wrong with Cesar Ruiz that he needs to fix. So Loomis said, "I like to see more out of Ruiz." Indeed, he missed 7 games in the past 2 years due to injury. So I mean, it's no excuse for his bad play, man. It's too many. All right, Dylan stepped in after the Trevor trade. I thought he did a good job, so we'll evaluate that interior offensive line. Says Loomis. Luke came in and played for Eric and did a good job. He really did, but we'll have to evaluate that position. And we got some free agents there, so it's going to be an area that we pay attention to this offseason. You better pay attention to that interior offensive line. Cesar Ruiz should be pushed out. If not, if you want to keep Cesar Ruiz, I would say sign a veteran to compete with him for the right guard spot. And if the veteran beats him out, you get rid of Ruiz. That's what I say. Now they're going to want to keep him there because they drafted him and all this kind of old stuff, and he still got multiple years left on his contract. Let me look up how many years Cesar Ruiz has left on his contract, because he still have multiple years remaining on his contract. Now, in terms of Eric McCoy, who's 28 years old, McCoy has 2 years remaining on his contract at 10 million plus, 10 million this year and 10.5 next year. Right, he turns 31. Then he got several voided years, so he has 2 years remaining on his contract. Cesar Ruiz, who's 26, has 2 years, has 3 years, 2 years remaining. So he has this year at 9.5 and next year at 9.5. If I'm the Saints, if I'm the New Orleans Saints, I'm looking at, and they want to keep Cesar Ruiz, my thing is this. I would push Cesar Ruiz with a veteran. I sign a veteran on a 1-year deal to compete with him for the starting job and tell him that, hey, man, listen, the right guard position is up for grabs, and make him earn it. I would make him earn it. Now, the left guard position, you have to sign a starter there. You could do the same thing there. But at some point, the Saints will have to use some of these draft picks on offensive alignment for the future. But I would definitely re-sign Luke Fortner. That's easy. Torricelli Simpkins is a veteran. He's going to be a young player that's in the battle for the guard position. Torricelli should challenge Cesar Ruiz. That should open that competition up at that right guard position. The left side should be a position they take care of in a draft or in free agency. If you really want it, the Saints will have some money. Maybe go after free agency and get you a veteran guard to fill in there. And I'm pretty sure Kellen Moore has an idea on that. All right, let's cross over to defense according to what she's saying. The biggest question for the defense will be whether the Saints re-sign linebacker Demario Davis, who's 37, and defensive end Cam Jordan, who's 36. Both players have expressed interest in playing in 2026. Loomis says, I'm excited to hear. Well, let me read it like Mickey does.
Well, I know, goddammit. I'm excited here when those guys declare, they want to be back here. I would say on the surface, we definitely want them back. But there's just so many variables that exist. I can't really answer that question right now.
That's Mickey. Now, are there that many variables that exist where you can't answer the question? The only variables that exist is cap. And some of what Mickey was saying is cap, because all they have to do is work a feasible and respectable deal to both sides. Both players already said they want to come back here. They've given up the leverage, which means the deal could be a friendly deal for both sides, especially for the Saints. If you give Demario Davis respect on his money and Cam respect on two team friendly deals, not the veteran minimum, they deserve better than that, but a respectable contract for both parties that would ultimately get them back for their final years in 26 going into 27. So that to me would be something that they can do. Even if the two captains don't return in 26, the Saints have a lot to be excited about, finishing 9th in total defense, 4th in passing defense, and 19th in rushing defense. Defensive end Chase Young, shout out to Chase, who was named NFC Defensive Player of the Month for December, coming off a career best season in which he finished with, count them, 10 sacks, 1-0. Linebackers such as rookie Danny Stutzman showed promise as well. Dan, I call him a co-starter with Pete Werner. A co-starter. Because he had 50 plus tackles for this year, and Pete Werner had like 70 plus. So Stutzman was awesome. Chase Young was awesome as well. And one position the Saints could be looking to fill next season, the slot cornerback, with Alontae Taylor set to become a potential free agent. This is my first rodeo in free agency. This is what Alontae said. I've never been a free agent, but I've definitely asked a lot of questions. I'm going to take it one day at a time. My agent is a dope agent, So he's going to keep me updated. And the thing is, Alante wants to get paid. There's been no talk about the Saints from the Saints saying, hey man, we won't bring Alante Taylor back. And like I said, it's a different energy when you look at Chris Olave versus Alante Taylor. Both of them were big in the games this past season. Alante left a lot of interceptions out there. He got burnt several times. But when the blitz needed to happen, he was in there filling in the need. He's looking to get paid. Chris Olave topped out. He's a top option in terms of the Saints wide receivers. He's going to get his paper. He's going to get paid. Now, in terms of Alante Taylor, I'm thinking Alante Taylor might not become a Saint this upcoming season. I think he'll be priced out of New Orleans. I'm just saying that. And if that is indeed the case, the Saints have several cornerbacks that they can utilize in this upcoming draft. Just to be honest with you, there are several cornerbacks that are going to be available in the draft. So if the Saints say, you know what, man, we're going to shift and move and do something else and find somebody else to play with, from that cornerback level, hey, man, you might have to do that. But Mansour Delaney from LSU is out there. He's a fantastic cornerback. Alante, he's out there. You got Jermod McCoy from Tennessee, who's another fantastic 6 feet, 200-pound corner that's real physical. So like I said, there are a couple of guys that you can look at that can come in and help you from the nickel position. It depends on what your cup of tea is. Whether it's Brandon Cease, whether it's what's the kid from Arizona State, Abney, y'all know what I'm talking about. It's a bunch of, man, even Chris Johnson. I like the kid Chris Johnson from San Diego State. I like him a lot too. So it's a couple of guys that's out there depending on where you want to get them in the draft. So it'll be interesting to see. But I think Alante Taylor will not be a Saint next year. I think he'll be priced out of our range. And, of course, the special teams. The Saints need to overhaul of the special teams in 2026. I have 1,000% agree with Cat Terrell on this one. New Orleans Saints retained Phil Galliano from the 24 staff and promoted him to special teams coordinator after Rizzi took the Broncos job. The Saints dropped statistically in every category. Part of that can be attributed to the personnel changes. The Saints waived All-Pro special teamer J.T. Gray and traded kick returner Rashid Shaheed after having him return only 10 points and 1 kickoff in 9 games. Shaheed returned a punt and kickoff for a touchdown in Seattle and was named to the Pro Bowl this season. Really interesting, man. Blake Grupe was released. He was 87.1 of his kicks last season, struggled in regular season. Missing 1 kick in training camp. He was waived 8 games. He was waived after missing 8 field goals. And then the team promoted Charlie Smith. So your top special teams ace, J.T. Gray, did not make it back this way. And it wasn't just because of that. J.T. Gray was dealing with injuries too. J.T. Gray wasn't always available. And it wasn't the same level of play from J.T. Gray. That's all I'll be telling people. We'll get some of these aces, but they're not good in the rooms where they come from. Whether you're a wide receiver ace or a cornerback or a DB ace or a linebacker ace, they're usually not good in the rooms they come from. They're only just good on special teams. A lot of times the team be like, we're going to have to move in a different direction because we can't hold a spot for a guy that if he's called upon to play at the safety position, he out there getting burnt. You see what I'm saying? It's just not going to cut it. So, but this is true. We did trade Rashid Shaheed, but he wasn't doing nothing for us on special teams this year. J.T. Gray didn't make it back this way, and Blake Grupe should have got cut earlier in the season. He just wasn't hitting those kicks. So, very true here. So Charlie Smith did replace him. We had a lot of moving pieces there. This is what Kellen said. I thought credit to Phil was kind of helping navigate that from a punter battle that kind of went through all training camp. and made the change at the kicker position midway through the season. Sheed obviously with the trade halfway through the year. Smith's leg was a bright spot this season as he made 56 and a 57 yarder, but his inexperience led to inconsistencies. He also missed 4 field goals, and the Saints finished the 2025 with the worst combined field goal percentage in the league. The Saints fell from 25th in net yards per punt to 29th. They were 22nd in kickoff return yards, 20th in punt return yards, 25th in opponent kickoff return yards, down from 6th of 2024, and then 20th in opponent punt return yards, down from 8th in 2024. Major statistical drops, period. Now, Galliano and punter Kai Kroger, 29 in net yards per punt, probably will receive most scrutiny this offseason. Now, Kroger won the punting competition over Matt Hayball and James Burnip this summer, but will be a free agent. And this is what Kellen said. He said, I thought Galliano did a really good job helping a lot of young players get ready and prepare to contribute on our football team and special teams. They were new to the aspect of football. So are there areas that we want to improve on and get better? Absolutely. Then there's certainly something we'll do, certainly something we'll do in all 3 phases. And remember, I don't know if this was I ain't gonna say competent hire, as a guy that was attached to the team, but I'm pretty sure Kellen Moore would probably want a different selection. You might have an opportunity here to do something. Granted that we did switch kickers because the other kicker sucked. He's missed too many field goals. Kai Kroger did a good job. It was a close battle between him and James Burnip. Now, I thought Burnip was a better punter, but Kai Kroger edged him out, right? But that just means you can bring another punter here, and they have another competition unless the Saints draft somebody in the draft. But they can most certainly use a punter. Now, in terms of Charlie Smith, the Saints signed Charlie Smith to a 3-year deal, just south of $3 million. So at some point, if you're the New Orleans Saints, you got to be looking at the special team saying, yeah, we definitely need to improve that. But areas going into the draft this season, man, it's going to be interesting to be honest with y'all, fam. The biggest need was the quarterback, solved it. The offensive line needed to fortify that with depth, sign a left guard, provide competition for Ruiz at the right guard position, depth at the tight end position, wide receiver room, unless you can get one really good. I can add another wide receiver. It's 11 of them, I think it is. A pass rusher, you always see if you can get you a good pass rusher, help at the linebacker level. You might lose a starter in Alontae Taylor. That all besides the left guard position, that might be something you look at because it gets interesting for me, right? I'm gonna just say it gets interesting for me if a Caleb Downs is available, right? At number 8, if a Caleb Downs is available at the position, right? Then it becomes a tough battle. For you from a schematic standpoint, that's why they create the big boards. So when they get in the draft, they be like, man, listen, we got to rank these guys so that we don't have a traffic jam to decide on who we want to go to, right? So we have this guy high, this guy high, this guy high. And if this guy is available and there is not a trade, right? Like say if somebody wants to move 2 spots, a spot up or 2, we need to move a spot or 2 back to get a player that we're not interested in, that we can use that leverage, that's fine. But if that's not the case, then, and I think Alontae Taylor is most certainly gone, then I would have to look at filling that position. Now, do I take Mansour Delaney with the 8th overall pick, the best cornerback in the draft, according to what I believe it is? But you'll have help, whether it's Caleb Downs, Mansour Delaney, Jeremiah Love. Those guys will be available. There isn't a top 10 guard in this draft. Now, there are some good guards. fam, in this draft, and like I said, I'm gonna do the big board. We're gonna roll it out. But to me, there isn't a top 10 guard in this top 10 guard, not first round, but I'm saying a top 10 guard. I still see you can find value if you get Ione out of Penn State, if you get Pregnon from Oregon, big guys like that at the guard position, Carter Smith from Indiana. If you can get guys like that later on, like in the second or third round, I'm good with that. But I've also heard people say, one of the guys, I think one of the ESPN people, might have been Yates. Phil Yates said that the Saints should draft Francis Mugawa and convert him to a guard. Like I said, I don't know about that because usually we don't want to usually do that because we had a bad experience with doing that with Tyler Shough, moving these guys around out of position. We had a bad experience with Cesar Ruiz. We still having a problem with that. That guy ain't no guard. So it's just a lot of stuff that goes on in your head to make you think, man, damn, I don't know if I want to make that move. Now the guy is talented, but I would just get a guard later on in the draft, and I would go about finding me a player like if Alontae Taylor's not there, they got a hole at whatever I don't do in free agency is something I want to do, and it could be rightfully a situation where the New Orleans Saints appease a lot of their needs in free agency, and everything else just be about the business of picking the best player available. Like I said, I have no idea. We'll just have to see how that works. Hell, the Saints could come out of free agency and sign Tyler Algieri as their running back. Hell, I don't know. If they do that, then of course that kind of changes your outlook in the draft on what you need to do in terms of taking a Jeremiah Love. If the Saints sign a starting Tyler, just for instance, if the Saints sign a Tyler Algieri in the draft, free agency, and then you go to the draft, and then Jeremiah Love is there, all this kind of stuff. I would say no to that. You can go somewhere else. Now, if they didn't fix the cornerback position, they could very well sign a veteran cornerback to fill in for Alontae Taylor at the price that they want. But the Saints didn't go about the business of getting these draft picks for nothing. They're picking up these draft picks for a reason. And that's the bottom line. The Saints have these draft picks for a reason. And the reason is they want to be able to put together a team that's not very expensive. And that's just pretty much what I see them doing. So we'll see. But things change based on your billboard, your big board. If Ruben Bain from Miami is up there and Carnell Tate, I don't think you have access to Arvell Reese. Ruben Bain could fall to you at 8. What do you do? Right? It's going to be interesting to see how that flows. Right? If Bain is there, which I don't think Bain's going to be there, I think he'll be gone before that. Arvell Reese is going to be gone from there. I think Carnell Tate will be the first wide receiver to go, but I don't think anybody takes a wide receiver above 8 with the Saints. I think that'll probably be the spot. If anything, a wide receiver will go after that spot. But Caleb Downs, Carnell Tate, who else could be? Jeremiah Love is going to be there. Keldrick Falk from them. The best offensive lineman in the draft is between two people. It's Fano or it's the big guy Magawa. So it's one of these guys. We just have to see because like when the draft gets close, Senior Bowl, you're gonna start hearing all these players and all this kind of stuff, and it's gonna be fun going into this thing, right? Right. All right. So anyway, man, let me give y'all another little niblet here before I get ready to go here, and let's kind of talk about the New Orleans Saints or the rookie class right here. Saints quarterback Tyler Shough snubbed by ESPN All-Rookie Team. It wasn't enough for Tyler to beat Cam Ward head-to-head and briefly surge on the betting markets to become the favorite for the Rookie of the Year honor. Saints quarterback was still snubbed in favor of Ward, who is Ben Slowick's pick for the first team QB. Shough was relegated to the second team. So that was in. So it's one of these things. So at the same time, Slowick conceded, I don't see the sort of jaw-dropping, math-changing potential I see in Ward from Shough. Ward made a couple of plays that fit the description in the home loss to the Saints Sunday, scrambling to keep plays alive and throwing into some awful tight windows to pick up long third downs. Ward has made flashy plays, but Shough was winning the games and getting it done, according to the writer, and I agree with him. Here's a good example of that. Passing success rate is one of the best stats from the team for PFF. A successful passing gains at least 40% of yards required on first down, 60% of yards required on second down, and 100% on third and fourth down. The denominator is passing plus times sacked. And when you look at where this year's rookie quarterbacks rank in that stat, Shough leads the pack at 45.1%. Good for 20th overall. That's just beneath the league average of 45.4, but far ahead of where Ward is at 38%, which is 32nd. Jackson Dart, which is 40.5, which is 31st. He didn't qualify for the rankings due to a small sample size, but Cleveland Browns quarterback Shedeur has a success rate of 35.7. Another good stat for the PFF people is the adjusted net yards per pass attempt, which weighs for touchdown passes, interceptions, sacks, yards lost on sacks. From that metric, Shough clocks in at 5.99, which is 23rd, ranking-wise. That's under the average of 6.08. Now, while Jackson Dart is 5.73, which is 26th, Ward is 5.09, which is 31st, and Sanders is NEAL 4.08. The difference is in leaning on what the numbers say versus trusting what you see on tape. Ward is seen as the guy with the greater potential. That's a big part of why he was drafted first overall, while Tyler Shough fell to the second round 40th pick. Knowing what we know now, would that still be the case? Absolutely not. If they have known this is what Tyler Shough was going to do this year, then he would definitely have went at a higher rate. He would definitely have been in the first round. Definitely been in the first round. So who knows? What's apparent is the Saints have their quarterback, and ultimately that's what matters. So in the end, man, it'll be cool to capture an accolade that we've never seen a Saints QB catch, right? To get a Rookie of the Year honor. That has never been done before by the black and gold quarterback, which would be a cool honor for him to have. But the bottom line is you have the quarterback of the future, and that's how you win. Anyway, with that being said, I'm going to get out on that. I appreciate you guys for chiming in on this episode of the show. Please feel free to hit the like button, hit the subscribe button. All means share the show on your social media feed. Big Q representing the Sports Coma and the Who Dat Nation. Hey, man, I'll be back to holler at y'all on another edition of the show. And like I said, hit the like button and the share. Check out our promoters and people that sponsors of the show. Shout out to our Patreon and YouTube membership family, man. Got some more content coming up for you guys, especially on Patreon. With that being said, I'm out. Much love and peace.
Whether you're catching up on Saints news at Jackson Square, checking Pelicans scores in the Garden District, or staying updated on LSU while grabbing coffee in the French Quarter, there's one place that keeps you connected to everything that matters in our city. From Bourbon Street to the Superdome, from Preservation Hall to the riverfront, New Orleanians are staying in the know with the WhoDatDaily.com, your daily source for Saints, Pelicans, LSU, and all the sports, music, and culture that makes our city special. At work downtown, at a game in the Dome, or just relaxing by the Mississippi, wherever life takes you in the Big Easy, you can stay connected. Because when you're from New Orleans, you don't just live here. You stay in the NO. That's stay in the know. Visit the WhoDatDaily.com and never miss what matters most to Who Dat Nation.
Welcome to the Pro Shop, where we create authentic NOLA-inspired clothing for men, women, and children. From Saints jerseys to Pelicans gear, everything's crafted right here in New Orleans. Whether you're shopping the Pro Shop, the Pel Shop, or the Pro Shop Kids, we've got your whole family covered with genuine merchandise that represents our city's spirit. Check for links in the description section below.